Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be doing my January TBR, or books that I hope to read during the month of January. I guess I have some explaining to do. I have not been posting videos for the past few weeks just because with work and just the crazy holiday time, it just wasn't feasible to sit down and film, but also because I just kind of wasn't feeling it for the last month of the month. I think a lot of stuff had happened that had been piling up for me, just mentally, and then just losing little Josette and dealing with the holidays, and around that same time frame was my dad's birthday, my mom's birthday, as well as my mom's passing anniversary. I just wanted to take some time to myself, just kind of reflect on those things, give myself that time to grieve like I have been, but also too with work, it just was trying to find that balance in my schedule. So this year I am planning to stick to my filming schedule. I have started a bullet journal, which is my little goals journal that I have, where I'm just thinking of stuff that I want to do and tracking it and being accountable for myself. I'm glad I did take that time away because I feel refreshed, I feel recharged, I'm excited, I'm feeling creative again, so I think it was definitely worth it to have that little breakaway. I guess sometimes we need to do that every once in a while. Don't worry, if I decide that I don't want to film, I will let you guys know ahead of time before I just decide not to. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive into my pile. Now, these books, I don't know if I'm going to get to right away. I do have a couple book clubs that I'm in that I'm reading books for as well. So these are just ones that I really would like to get to for the month, but if not, most of them, they're definitely going to be read by the end of the year. Lately, I have been in a Janet Fitch mood. If you don't know me personally, or if you don't know me through my Instagrams and everything, Janet Fitch is my favorite author of all time. I love her writing. I fell in love with her writing, and it's kind of a funny story. So how I got into her was at my house when I was younger. We had a VHS tape of White Oleander, and I watched this movie and I just loved the movie, and it kind of was one of the first, I would say, very emotional, very tough movies that I watched that wasn't like sugar coated for my age. I was like, I think 8 or 9 when I watched it, so I was very young, and I just fell in love with the story. I fell in love with the characters. I found out from looking at the back of the VHS tape that there was a book that it was based on. I always tried to keep my eye out for the book. Don't know if I was going to read it at that age, but I was reading books that were more mature for my for someone my age that someone wouldn't dive into. So I actually ended up picking up the book a few years later. I would say I was like 14 or 15 at this time. Found it at a yard sale, picked it up, and I read it, and just that changed everything for me, and I fell in love with Janet Fitch's writing. I had to read any books that she had. Now, currently, she has 4 out in the world. Obviously, as you guys know, the first book that she wrote was White Oleander. It was actually Oprah's book club pick too as well. And that kind of is what got her name out as well to the public, was when she went on Oprah for this book. This follows a young girl named Astrid who lives with her mother, who is a famous sort of artist in LA. One day, her mother gets arrested for the murder of her boyfriend, and Astrid goes through the foster home system. There's different environments that she goes into. Some of them are very cruel, some of them are very kind, some of them are very heartbreaking and eye-opening of what she goes through. And during these different houses that she goes through, she's discovering who she is without her mother, and what her if her mother is really this godlike person that she looked up to. And it's more or less kind of just finding yourself. It's very good coming of age story, and I just fell in love with this book. It is just so good. It's a movie that when I need a little pick-me-up, I will throw it in my DVD player and just watch it and just be immersed, and I feel happy. And this was the first book that she ever wrote, and anyone that knows me, if they say, oh, well, what's a book that you recommend? This is going to be one of the first ones that I recommend. or just anything by her, you can't go wrong. Along comes Painted Black. So this is the paperback edition. I haven't found the hardback. I feel like I like the paperback more for the cover. It's very striking with the red and then the portrait of the woman. And I have noticed as a pattern, it's a lot of portraits of women on her cover, but there's a reason why, because they're women characters. This one is set in the 1980s LA rock scene. So there's a lot of, you know, drugs and, you know, the fashion and the music and everything, but it follows a girl named Josie Tyrell. She is a model, a nude model. She models for art classes. That's how she kind of makes her money. And one day she comes to the news that her boyfriend that she lived with committed suicide. And it kind of shakes her world to the core. She ends up being reached out to by her boyfriend's mother, who is this world famous pianist. Now, they do not get along, and how it describes it on the back, throughout this novel, Josie and the mother create this twisted and sick relationship, and that definitely kind of caught my attention with this book. What I loved about it was you see her going through this grieving process. You see two women going through a grieving process, and it's kind of them dealing with that pain of someone that they were close to and loved so much. More or less too, it's Josie coming to the realization as well, because she thinks that this is not something her boyfriend would do. Kind of stuff that she didn't realize that was going on while she was with him. This is actually a movie as well too. Amber Tamblyn actually directed it. If you do not know who she is actually one of the actors in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series of movies that she did. So she picked up this book and made it a film. I believe it is still on Netflix, so definitely check it out once you read the book, or even if you want to check out the film and see if it's your cup of tea. So now we are moving into her third one, and this one is actually a very deep dive. It's actually 2 books in a series. This one is The Revolution of Marina M. As you can see, it is definitely a way thicker book. It's also, I love the feel of this. It's like that Bible thin paper, and the font is very small. So this one kept me busy for a while. This one is set during the early, I believe this is in the 1900s, during the Russian Revolution. Marina is the main character, and she is a girl that has grown up with wealth. She also is a famous poet at that time. She has published a book of poetry and is very well known among the rich community. One day she decides to step out and go into an underground poetry club with a bunch of her friends, and she realizes that the world she has grown up in is not the same as it is outside. She starts to see a lot of the poor that are suffering from this revolution. There's people that are working in mills and people that are trying to get bread, and it's a very sad world. She ends up leaving her very high prominence world due to an incident with her family to be in this poet's life, and she meets different people, and it's kind of her growing up in this world and just finding who she is as a person, and just your heart just tugs for her. She's also dealing with things that a normal teen would. She's dealing with love. She's dealing with, you know, finding who she is as a person, finding out what's right, what's wrong. It ends on a cliffhanger, and it was just one of those cliffhangers where I was like, please don't tell me that's the end. Please tell me she's publishing another one. And she did, and that is Chimes of a Lost Cathedral. So this one I actually haven't read yet. I know, very bad of me, but I do plan on reading this after I read Marina, because this one picks up right after this one. Just look at these covers, like they're so beautiful, and you can definitely tell they go together with like the colors and the design. What I love about these ones is they are both actually have signed book plates by the author. Janet Fitch, couple of Christmases after these books came out, she said, hey, if you have someone who is wanting to get these books for presents and you have them, or if you have them and you want to get a signed book plate, just shoot me your info and I will send it to you. So I have both of these. They're signed and dated for the year that she did the giveaways. So this one here says, to Cassie, welcome to Marina's world. Hope you enjoy her journey. Hope you enjoy her journey. Best wishes, Janet Fitch. And as you can see, it says it was 2018 when she did that for me. And then this one here was just last year. It says, to Cassie, may you always hear the chimes. And then best wishes, Janet Fitch. And I love this one because she did a little bit of watercolor work as well on it. So obviously we all know, I'm not going to get into this if you see my previous videos. I have Natasha Preston's The Twin and V.C. Andrews' Shadows of Foxworth on my list. Briefly, this is V.C. Andrews. She did the Flowers in the Attic series. This is a ghostwriter that does the books now, and this is a spin-off series called I call it the Attic series, and it is Beneath the Attic, Out of the Attic, and then this is the third one, Shadows of Foxworth. This one picks up with the original Corinne's daughter, and she's kind of figuring out her actual life and who her family is in this Foxworth family. So I've talked about it before on several different videos, so that's just a little brief synopsis of that one. And the twin, Natasha Preston, as you guys know, I love her work, sitting right behind it there. But this one is following two twin sisters, I believe, and one of them is trying to take over the other one's life. So definitely, I love Natasha Preston. I'm really sad I haven't gotten to this yet, but this is definitely on the list to get to this month. Now I have two new entries that go onto the list. I have been trying to read a lot of wrestling books. As you know, I am a big wrestling fan. I've been wanting to study the business more, different wrestlers, so I've been trying to find the books. One of them that I picked up for Black Friday, this actually is two wrestlers from AEW. They're actual brothers. It is Matt and Nick Jackson. They're otherwise known as the Young Bucks, and the book is Killing the Business from Backyards to the Big Leagues. I have heard nothing but good things about this book from people in the wrestling business, a lot of the friends that I know that are into wrestling, that watch AEW. I'm really excited to get into it. They are one of my favorite tag teams. I love watching them. Their matches are amazing. So this is kind of their life story. I'm really excited to get into it. Like I said, nothing but awesome things about this. Just really excited. And speaking of wrestling, we have someone that is part of wrestling royalty, if you will, and that is good old JR, otherwise known as Jim Ross, and it is Slobberknocker, My Life in Wrestling. So this is actually, I believe, his first book, and then Under the Black Hat just came out last year, and I need to get that one. But Jim Ross was an announcer for WWE and now AEW, and he kind of just talks about his life in this one and his experience in different stories. He kind of clears up, I want to say he clears up a lot of the rumors. My boyfriend actually is not a reader, but he will listen to audiobooks every once in a while, and this was one that he said was really good. So I'm really excited to get into it, especially since it's JR. I mean, JR is just, he is just the first person I think of, and anyone else thinks of when you think of wrestling announcers that are the greats. And I'm just really excited to get into that and just get to know JR a little bit more than what I see on the TV. But yeah, definitely excited to get into that. Well, there you have it, guys. That is my TBR pile. So a couple other honorable mentions that I haven't got to. My novel watching crew group that I am a part of. We have two books that we're reading. We're doing, I believe it's Howl's Moving Castle, and then there is Stardust. So those are two books I'm waiting for the library to get. And I will be reading that, as well as I'm going to be having the January 21 box for Once Upon a Book Club. So I'm really excited to get that in the mail, see what that book is. But yeah, I'm really excited about this year. I was very proud of myself with accomplishing my reading goal. So I really want to do the same and just knock it out of the park this year. This year I have goaled myself for 60. So we're going to see if I do it. Fingers crossed. But anyway, guys, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.